Everybody, let's kick it off. All right. I want to talk about being a critical thinker in AMC and other stocks and companies that you're going to be coming across one day, and the approach that you should have, right? It's a critical thinking skills kind of exercise, but it's also got a very interesting twist to it. And I'm going to leave some links to you on the bottom that you have something to print out and read for the future. I want you to learn something from this. So you're in this play, you've been here for a long time and you're still iffy about it. You have some reservations, you have some questions, and you don't know just exactly the right question to ask. Well, I'm going to pose to you some really critical thinking skill sets in terms of the right questions to ask, the right people, and so on and so forth. It'll help you also determine who you're listening to, who you're consuming content from regarding this play and other stocks in the future. All right. So you have to have a holistic approach. What does a holistic approach mean, right? When you go to hospitals these days, they will not only examine your wounds and your ailments and your diseases, but they also look at your emotional, your social, and your spiritual well-being. They kind of gauge you and see where you are in overall health. Are you emotionally fit? Are you spiritually fit? Do you have some kind of support system outside your family? Maybe it could be yoga, it could be the church, it could be your mosque or your synagogue. And they look at every facet of you and they give you a stamp of some kind. It's this guy's in good health, or he's in poor health, and he's depressed, and so on and so forth. And that adversely affects the bill as well as your health insurance. It's just what it is. And it's very much the same way when it comes to stocks and companies. You have to look at it from a holistic approach. This is how I look at a stock. I look at a company, but instead of looking at it through like a medical perspective, I look through it through a business lens. I have a business and finance background. That's how I look through these things. And I determine if I should continue in this play, if I jump into this play, if I should stay, or if I should sell. Because remember, everything affects everything, and it has a cascading effect. Everything affects everything, and it has a cascading effect. If Adam Aarons got sick tomorrow, how would the company be affected? What if he had a cancer diagnosis tomorrow? How would the company be affected? What would drive the shares down? Is it the fundamental guys would leave because the leadership, the sound leadership he's been providing is gone now? Is that what it's going to be? Or is it going to be because the stock goes up because the next guy who's slotted to be in charge, the next on the chopping block, is a superstar performer, and he is very slotted and very qualified to pick up the slack, and then we get a bump in price. It's those things. It's those little idiosyncrasies that we have to really be mindful of. So let's talk about what happens to a company. Let's talk about when things are released and the who, what, wheres, if you will. So let's start with the who's, right? In critical thinking, you have to ask yourself one thing: who benefits from this? Who does this harm? Who makes the decisions about this? Who's most directly affected by this, and through extensions, right? If tomorrow morning Walgreens stops buying Tylenol through their manufacturer, right? Who's affected by this, and through extension? In other words, Tylenol, the manufacturer, would no longer be selling. It's a huge hit, so their stock would go down. But who else would be going through an extension? Well, another company who also makes the same drug as Tylenol probably get a bump up because now they need a provider and they could get the business, right? That's something that it's a who, right? Who have you heard? Who have you also heard discuss this? In other words, who are your other sources? Who else is talking about this that also sees this phenomena or whatever? That's important because depending on who the credible sources are, it could be something or it could be just nonsense. Who would be the best person to consult about this, listen to, or ask about this? Let's say it's the pharmaceutical, it's a Tylenol again. Or who would you call to find out about this sort of thing? Would you call your buddy the pharmacist? Would you talk to somebody at Tylenol corporate? Would you try to read industry insiders information off the internet? Who would you talk to? And who would be the key people involved in this decision? Is it the CEO of Walgreens? Is it the CEO or Walmart? Is it the CEO of Tylenol itself? Who would it be? Who are the key people, right? And who deserves recognition for this? Who brought this up to the table? And who's going to be kind of looking through it and understanding it? And who's the person that you have to keep an eye on, in a sense, to some degree. All right, let's talk about the what's. What is the strengths and the weaknesses of this plan or this course of action? What is another perspective? Is there an alternative? What would be a good counter argument to carrying Tylenol? Well, we're going to carry Advil instead with Tylenol mixed in. What's the worst case scenario? What's the best case scenario? What's most important about this? And what's the least important? How do we make positive change when something like this happens? And what is getting in the way of this action? So those are the things that you want to bring up and you want to itemize. That way you know exactly what's going to be affected, who's going to be affected, all those little things, right? You itemize these things and then you put a perspective together. Who's not being heard in this? Maybe it's the employees of Tylenol, maybe the people who are Tylenol buyers at Walmart, and their interests are not being met. They're adversely being affected. We have to keep those people in consideration because now they can band up and go on social media and make a presence. Where, okay? Where do you see this in the real world? What are the similar concepts and situations? Let's say it's cancel culture of some kind, and somebody gets canceled, but then a couple months later they get uncanceled or whatever. Where is this the most need for? Where in the world would this be a problem? Let's say Advil is banned in China, and Tylenol is the only drug allowed for pain relief. That would be an affected place in the world. Where can we get more information about this? Where do we go for help with this? Has this ever been tried before? Where will this idea take us? Does that mean we're going to start trending where we're going to start cutting off drug manufacturers? What does it mean? And what are the areas of improvement? Let's go to the wheres. Where is this acceptable and non-acceptable? China, let's say we're using that as an example. China, because they don't allow Advil. They only accept Tylenol as their pain reliever of choice. Where would this benefit society? Well, that's a determination that you make by yourself. Obviously it wouldn't be China. It might be the United States. It might be hedge funds that are shorting Tylenol. Where would this cause a problem? Hospitals, perhaps. What is the best time to take action, before or after? Where will we know when we've succeeded? Obviously, your balance sheet. Where has this played a part of our history? Have we done this before that we can look back and look for historical or empirical evidence? Where can we expect this to change? And where should we ask for help, right? These are the questions. And here's one more. I'll give you two more. Why is this a problem or a challenge? Why is it relevant to me? Why is this the best or worst case scenario? Why should people know about this? Why has it been this way for so long? Why have we allowed this to happen today? And why is there a need for this today? Boom. And the last ones. How is this similar to or different to? How does this disrupt things? Let me tell you one thing, just real quick. This thing is big, right? How does this disrupt things? Positive disruption? Absolutely, jump on it. That's great. It's terrific. Those are the things that we want to look for. Positive disruption is a new way of doing things. How do we know what the truth about this is? How do we approach this safely? How does this benefit us and others? How does this harm us in the future? Others, and how do we see things in the future? And what can we do in terms of change for our own good? These are the questions, and I've got more. I'm just not going to go through them all. These are questions for clarity, questions about the initial issue that you asked, probing questions, questions about reason and evidence, and origin and source, probe implications and consequences, and viewpoints and perspective. Kids, there's a lot to learn on this thing, right? There's a lot. There's a ton. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave on the bottom of this video this link that's got this document. You can download it and print it off, and you can master it. That's what I would recommend you do, because this will carry you through your life. This is not just an AMC or a stock thing. This will help you throughout your life. All right. So download it, read it, and more importantly, teach it to your kids. Teach it to your kids so they don't, have to end up waiting 2 years for a stock to rise so we can make money. All right. I know it's terrible, but it is what it is. So I hope you found value in this. I really hope you download this link and you really benefit from it, because if you can master that, your life will be so much better. All right. Al, signing out. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.